Hey folks, it's Maxwell here and welcome to a new TW9 video with AEW. It's the pay-per-view that I completely forgot about, which is Wrestle Dynasty. A lot of matches have been put on this card. I'll be very honest with you, it's minimal angles, because obviously I feel any Japanese show you get is pretty much like that. It's just match and a match and a match. We've tried to get as many people on the card as we can. We have 2 Casino Gauntlet matches, so I feel like there's 42 people right away. It was tricky to get them to work and to create the match, and I don't know if it will be quite as smooth as we'd like, but it gets people that way. People from New Japan, people from CMLL, people from Stardom, we've got someone from Rev Pro in as well, so a lot of people there. I've made it very cheap, so we should hopefully get close to filling out the Tokyo Dome, and because money's not an option, we have a legendary band and a special set just to make it a good show. But Takeshita versus Danielson, the main event, should be fantastic. 87 was the show rating last year, Ospreay versus Okada, so that's going to be tricky to beat, because I say it is predominantly down to our main event. But hopefully this year the matches I've put in place are pretty good. So, long event, so let's get into it. This is AEW's Wrestle Dynasty 2026. So we start off in front of 37,764 fans in the Tokyo Dome. With Renee Paquette in the pre-show, I just felt like it was an opportunity to kind of fix a few matches that I maybe wasn't 100% on. So she says, big announcement, it's now going to be a fatal 4-way for the Women's Championship. Didn't realise that Mercedes had battled Starlight Kid back at Battle of the Belts at the tail end of 2024. And they had awful chemistry, so I thought, well, let's fire Willow in there and let's put in Mayu Iwatani. So it's going to be a fatal 4-way for the AEW Women's Championship and the IWGP Women's Championship as well. Special singles matches tonight. We're going to see Orange Cassidy take on Saito Naito, and we are going to have the male and female Casino Gauntlet. So I thought that was kind of how you would work it in storyline wise on a show when you've got matches just kind of throw it into nowhere. So obviously the language barrier is going to be a hampering here, so that's why we just made it this one. But the segment was a 63. Time for the pay-per-view. And we start the show with a 10-man tag, and we have an entrance from 5 men who have a history in Japan. All part of New Japan Pro Wrestling at one point. It is, of course, Hangman, Adam Page, the Young Bucks, Matthew, and Nicholas Jackson. And alongside them, Kota Ibushi will team with Kenny Omega. So 5 men here, and a 71 rated segment. Their matchup was about to have some good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd. The team of Hangman, Kenny Omega, Kota Ibushi, and the Young Bucks defeated Zack Sabre Jr., Yota Tsuji, Soberano Jr., and the Kings of the Black Throne, Brody King and Malachi Black, in 1823 when Kenny pinned Soberano Jr. with a one-winged angel, and because Malachi wouldn't take the pinfall. So most realistic. But 75 for the wrestling, a 78 segment, a very solid opener here. Letting us see wrestlers from New Japan, CMLL, and of course AEW. In terms of performances there, Zack Sabre Jr. in 84, El Soberano in 83. Fantastic stuff in there from Kenny and Hangman as well. Not the best from the Bucks. And Kota Ibushi penalised for extremely poor form. Of course, not too many matches will go with storylines, but of course it's the 4 of them are in a bit of a feud at the moment with others, and Kota being a good friend. Next up was the Women's Casino Gauntlet match. I'll just go through who's won this matchup. So in a decent matchup, the winner and a future title shot when they wish. We'll just run with that one. Chris Statlander wins it in 1803, and being defeated in this was Sapphire Reed, Serena Deeb, Queen Aminata, Valkyrie, Hikaru Shida, Masha Slamovich, Nixon No, Megan Bain, Azumi, Billy Starks, Sari Onoi, Jamie Hayter, Athena, Konami, Gianna Daddio, Becky Quinn, Tekla, Toni Storm, Takuma Aroha, and Io Shirai. So 2 storylines advancing gained heat. Toni Storm was working through an injury that took a big toll on her. The only person really off her game was Sapphire Reed, and she does get a gimmick that's getting stale. But overall, 66 for the wrestling, a 78 segment, pretty good for the women's division, especially when you get a few there that aren't quite the most over, especially in Japan. And yeah, Chris Statlander with a chance to face possibly Mercedes, possibly Willow down the line, or Mayu, or Starlight Kid. Next up, and about that had some good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd, Ilya Dragunov defeated Gabe Kidd in 23:57 by pinfall with the Torpedo Moscow. This was designed to be an engrossing, story-driven spectacle that was slowly built up through psychology and worked towards a dramatic conclusion. Solid stuff, 77 performances from both, a 77 for the wrestling, an 80 segment, and a true introduction to life in AEW for Ilya Dragunov. We then had the AEW Tag Team Championships on the line, and it was about to had some good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd. And it was actually Ua and Ricochet defeating Mystico and Bandito in 15:10, when Ricochet pinned Bandito with a Benadryller. Steal the show matchup and a fourth defence of the World Tag Titles for Ua and Ricochet. 81 overall matchup, pretty good with that one. Ua got a 71, so we're slowly starting to do well, and I've just realised I've double booked Ricochet. Oh my god, what an idiot. Still going to be a good match he's in later on, but aye, that's embarrassing. Next up was a good matchup. Takeshita Naito defeats Orange Cassidy in 14:23 with the Destino. A 74 for the wrestling, a 71 crowd, and a 79 segment. These two had great chemistry, which I'm quite surprised about. It was a shock to me. I felt like I had to give New Japan some victories, and this was one we could certainly allow them to do so. Of course, Naito was still part of the New Japan roster when this save started. Why have I put Action Andretti? Well, I've got a blooper. That should have been... Who should that have been? Somebody that's in this next matchup alongside Will Ospreay. I've obviously clicked it twice, but aye. Will Ospreay was fantastic, and the angle idea was a success. It was just basically like an over-the-top entrance. So just pretend that Action Andretti wasn't here, but a 51 segment regardless. Basically, we're going to have a 6-man show-stealing matchup, a lot of high flyers. As you'll see here, I think I've just double-clicked it when Action Andretti was added alongside Ricochet. Yeah, it was added alongside Ospreay for that segment. There's a bout that had some good wrestling, a decent reaction from the crowd. It was the best way I could put them all in. But it was Will Ospreay defeating Swerve, Teton, Mascara Dorada, AR Fox and Ricochet in 17:39 when Ospreay pinned Teton with the Ozcutter. AR Fox was the weak link here. I could have made that steal the show just flippy, flip, but I felt like, no, let's do it, let's give him a bit of time. I don't know why I never thought Ricochet wasn't in the card. He's clearly a tag team champion, but hey, he fits the mould of what I wanted here. It was a 78 for the wrestling, a 74 segment overall. Lots of really, really good performances in there. Ricochet in 89 as well, alongside Will. Yeah, just AR Fox, obviously not the most over, but I thought the skills would maybe prop it up a little bit. But still, good matchup. We'll just say it was one of those matches that Tony books for like 400 grand, so there you go, Will Ospreay. Go and get some decent clobber with that, son. But yeah, not the best couple of segments myself, but that's what it is. Next up, we had a decent matchup that saw the team of MJF, Ricky Starks, Wardlow and Wheeler Yuta defeat the team of Hiroshi Tanahashi, Yuji Nagata, Doki and Bushi in 13:54 when MJF submitted Tanahashi with a salt of the earth. So really, obviously, Tanahashi's on his last kind of legs here. That is why, again, MJF adding insult to injury. He was really off his game. And yeah, that's just one that MJF can brag about going forward. 69. And then after it, we just have Tanahashi get out of a nice wee feeling in front of the fans, where he just gets an upper hand on MJF and sends him packing. Simple, effective. Just try to make it a bit realistic where you get some feel-good moments. 62. Next up, it was a decent matchup for the New Japan Strong Openweight Tag Team Championships, and it was Hiroko Goto and Yoshihashi, Bishamon I believe, defeating FTR in 13:37 when Goto pinned Cash Wheeler with the GTR. It's the storytelling way to really protect Cash Wheeler here to put the fall over, but FTR have been champions for over a year. It means then I can put it on somebody different, in this case of Goto and Yoshihashi. And yeah, 64, it is what it is. Cash Wheeler probably hates me, but we get a nice wee title change that won't affect our storylines too dramatically. Next up, about that had some good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd. Bayley defeats Tam Nakano in 14:15 with a hugplex, the first defence of the New Japan Strong Women's Championship. So a very game opponent in Tam Nakano, a 74 for the wrestling, a 63 crowd, and a 77 segment. Nice 80 performance from Bayley. Now it is the men's Casino Gauntlet match. And in about that had some good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd. It was the Switchblade Jay White who won the Casino Royale in 24:01. Other participants were Sammy Guevara, Vikingo, Johnny Gargano, Kyle Fletcher, Ray Phoenix, Eddie Kingston, Mike Bailey, Volador Jr., Pac, Roosh, Juice Robinson, Taichi Evil, Mark Davis, Sami Zayn, John Moxley, Kevin Steen, Shingo Takagi, Shota Umino, and Hikaru Takahashi. But it is Jay White who will get that championship match when he desires. 75 for wrestling here, 82 segment, and he even moved on a storyline, which gained some heat. So Chris Statlander and Jay White will both come at this event with title shots when they choose. Next up was that fatal four-way for the Women's Championship and the IWGP Women's Championship. And it was about to have some good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd. Mercedes Moné defends and defeats against Starlight Kid, Willow Nightingale, and Mayu Iwatani in 1843 when Mercedes submitted Starlight with the bank statement. So a third defence of the IWGP Women's title and a seventh defence of the AEW Women's World title. Mayu was head and shoulders above the rest with an 85, Willow the weakest with a 60. But overall, a 78 is pretty good stuff there. Yeah, as I say, these two battled last year, it was only like a 50. And admittedly, ended 2024, it could have been a lot better, but with the awful chemistry, I felt like you've got a talent like Mayu Iwatani. You can throw Willow in, hopefully develop her. I felt like it was a no-brainer. Next up, it was the AEW Trios Championships, and the mystery partner, who was in Bullet Club at one point, but not at the same time as AJ Styles, was El Phantasmo. I just felt like he would mix up Styles pretty well alongside Nick Wayne. So it was about to have some decent wrestling, not a lot of heat, as Undisputed Kingdom's Adam Cole, Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly defeat AJ, Nick and El Phantasmo in 15:26 when Cole pinned El Phantasmo with the boom. This was a Steal the Show matchup, and it means it's the sixth defence of the AEW Trios Championships for the Undisputed Kingdom. Weakest link was Kyle O'Reilly's 57, and the strongest was AJ Styles' 74. And overall, a 73 rated segment. We then had the over-the-top entrance for the Rainmaker Kazuchika Okada back in Japan as he's about to go one-on-one with Walter for the International Championship. So 88 segment for that. This is one of those matches I've got so much high hopes for. And the matchup is also an 88. It was about that had superb wrestling and great heat as Okada defeats Walter in 32:44 with the Rainmaker. Everything about this matchup was specifically designed to make it an epic feel in the eyes of the fans, and Okada is your new international champion. So 93 for the wrestling, 78 crowd, 88 segment, a 90 performance and a 96. Walter's next challenger storyline advances and gains heat. Great finish was a success, and Excalibur probably flopped it from being an even higher rating. And the low heat as well, so you probably, in a physical condition, could have saw that into the mid-90s quite comfortably. But Walter's not happy with me putting Okada over, so I'll need to do some, there you go Walter, a bit of money. But I feel like it's a good opportunity to give Okada another accolade. Obviously he's been the Continental Champion, he's been the World Champion in this save so far, but also means that he can branch out and wrestle in Japan again, and he can wrestle in CMLL as well. So looking forward to that one. Next up, Wild Brawl. Samoa Joe defeats Hechicero in 14:42 for the TNT Championship. So an 11th defence of the belt for Samoa Joe. This one only gained the 66. Brawling would not suit Hechicero, but obviously it would suit Samoa Joe. But you take away the guys probably don't have the highest amount of popularity within Japan. But I feel like you can't just go classic and a classic. You need to bring it down a little before we get ready for that main event match. And I've arsed up again because this was before the angles of the entrances. But anyway, technical masterclass, sensational wrestling and good heat. Bryan Danielson defeats Konosuke Takeshita in 33:47 with a cattle mutilation. Bryan Danielson makes defence number 2 of the world title. It's a 97 for the wrestling, a 77 crowd, and a 91 for the segment. I can already take from this one that is the commentary team that have cost this probably close to 100. Bryan was a 100. Takeshita's a 95. The creative finish was a success. They had great chemistry together. And then you just see those negatives of Excalibur week, Taz week, and deserve better colour commentary. And aye, that's probably what's cost that being an amazing result. But yeah, I feel like I need to work on Takeshita's psychology. So putting him in there with Bryan's always going to help that one, and obviously Bryan's going to carry it. But at the same time, you know that Bryan's age means he's not going to be around forever. So you need to get a lot of these matches out as soon as you can. And of course, I made an arse it, but there's their entrances. They should have been before it. Interestingly, Bryan got a 100, so like he must be like super over in Japan, but aye, that again 87. Just pretend that was before it. We'll just say they had a handshake. Well done, good match. So overall, the show gained popularity in 57 regions and was a rating of 94. So obviously with the boost, it probably would have been about 91. I'd say it was a success, especially for something that was very last minute that I'd completely forgotten about because it wasn't another mod. But a lot of good stuff put together. I think you can actually work off Bryan Danielson and Takeshita going a bit forward. We can integrate where G White fits into things. Obviously, we do go with Mercedes, you know, Chris Statlander as a challenger. And yeah, consider I make a few mistakes, I think we recover it in the end. But happy, and it gives us a nice wee clean slate going into 2026. So we'll just say well done Bryan. We'll say well done Walter, keep him happy, and we'll say well done Takeshita. And it's any talents that I hired on loan that didn't feature will probably feature in the next couple of shows just to kind of get that contract. It may be on the B shows, but just to make use of that. So Bryan's very happy, Walter's pleased, Takeshita's pleased. Financially, it's just a cheat code at this point, 90 million profit. And you can see they're getting pop everywhere. But it must be said, like, we're in a position now where money doesn't mean anything. We can put the full boosts and we can try and attack these achievements. As I say, I want to tick off the 100 shows, 100 matches, and it's bloody difficult, so I'm giving myself every opportunity that we can. Media Scrum. You seem to be struggling within the US market. We'll just keep putting on the best shows. We'll beat WWE at one point. I'll just say I've got a lot of faith in Okada. End of year awards are always fun to read. AEW Show of the Year in the Battle of Los Angeles. I'll just say it was a great show. I'd like to thank the wrestlers for that, but I'll just say it was a good show. Taz didn't do well at the announce test. I'll just say I thought he did a good job. Done alright, Jones. Oh, your response, which brought your judgment into question, has caused your booking reputation to take a small hit. Interesting, because I'd have thought, I didn't want to upset the talent. Kyle Fletcher and Mark Davis get voted Tag Team of the Year. I'll just say I agree with the choice 100%, even though they're not a tag team. A recent vote had Bryan Danielson as veteran. I agree with the choice 100%. So I just find that interesting. That's that Aussie Open's your tag team of the year. They're not really a tag team. That's gone. That's done. But we'll jump to the main screen. We'll see what other kind of feedback there was after the show. And then I need to get my mind together to book the road to Revolution and all the kind of bumps along the way, because there may be some, without giving too much away. Right, Judgment Day has been disbanded. Wrestle Dynasty was getting fantastic reviews. Typical Tony Storm straight back from injury. The day after, Josh Briggs won the NXT Heritage Cup. But apart from that, nothing else directly affects us, and that's all the loans gone. Oh, WWE are off for a Sky Blue. Good job we noticed that one. I wondered why that was like that. They seem to just try and get every woman I've got. It's always the women they're after. Money's not an option, so there you go. I'll keep her here. We'll help her develop. Also because she's Mercedes' protege. So it's an opportunity to help her develop that way. Anything else, just in case I miss it? Trent Seven's gone from TNA. I think it's just people going. Buy rate was 0. 34 million people watched it on our streaming service. Christopher Daniels says Konami's pretty good. Paul Heyman says AR Fox doesn't click with the crowd, and apparently we're not really using pay-per-view thing anymore, but I don't think that'll be a problem for a wee while. That's not what I was looking for. So our best show then. Third all time. That's pretty good. Behind the two bowlers. So actually, if you take away bowler, then it is our best show. So that's quite good to see. In terms of matches, Danielson Takeshita comes in at number 10. So pretty good stuff. Okay, we've had 299s already. It's typical. And the opposition, SmackDown is their best winner in 90, so at least we're going to be comfortable there. And their best match is a 96. So that's it for this episode. Thank you very much for watching. It is a long time to Revolution, but I say there'll be bumps along the way. And I can get a fresh start with storylines heading towards that. So just watching. 3 thumbs up would be deeply appreciated. Check out the Fantasy Speaker subreddit, Grey Dog Software, forums, TWDB, and BDBooker.net. And I will see you next time. Bye bye.